Garden Warfare 2 is widely considered to be one of the best Plants vs. Zombies games in the series. Maybe the best if you ask the right person. A lot of people usually recommend the sequel because of how beginner friendly it is and that it has the best gameplay and progression compared to the other games. However, it's not perfect. And in this video, I want to talk about the game's setting, specifically the environment and its characters, because there are a lot of inconsistencies and mess-ups that make the game fail to follow in the footsteps of the first. This is not a Garden Warfare 2 is bad video, just talking about one of its flaws that has bothered me for a long time. So press the subscribe button or Dr. Zomboss will come for your brain next. Garden Warfare 2 is one of the few games to directly continue off another entry. Plants vs. Zombies 2 takes place in 2013, 4 years after the first, and we only know this because I asked the developer. Garden Warfare 2 makes it front and center that it's continuing the story of the first, just in a different way. The zombies have won the war over Zomburbia and transformed it into their utopia. For once, the zombies have truly won, and the plants have lost their home. This is a unique and interesting concept for a Plants vs. Zombies game, and you would expect it to impact the levels. The tutorial sets up this epic escape sequence, introducing us to the new zombie world and really hammering home that this situation is dire. So let's check out the multiplayer levels. What happened? Tell me, how many maps at launch actually reflected the zombossification of Zomburbia? Well, if you said 2, you would be correct. 2 out of the 12 levels actually reflect this. Z-Tech Factory and Zomburbia. That is 15% of the game being relevant to its setting. I guess you could count the Backyard Battleground as a third, but that is the hub. And even if you count that, it is still only 23%, which is abysmal. So why does this game have so many irrelevant maps? With how little the levels represent what was marketed, you could argue it was false advertising. Well, this game's development is a bit rocky and heavily rushed. If you have not seen my Garden Warfare 1.5 video, I recommend watching it. But basically, Garden Warfare 2 started as an update for Garden Warfare 1, but it was doing so much that they were told to turn it into a new game. This meant everything for the update was suddenly brought over. We even have screenshots of Seeds of Time when it was still being made for Garden Warfare 1, which confirms this map was carried over. And it makes sense. This version of the map didn't have the time portals gimmick. It was just a normal theme park with time era theming. At some point during Garden Warfare 2's development, they were told to add portals for the time travel gimmick. That is why it is a theme park. It is a pretty realistic setting that fits in line with Garden Warfare 1's grounded locations like suburban neighborhoods, cities, or deserts. This also makes me question if Time Park is so bad because it was originally designed without portals, where you could just walk between each area, but they removed that. That might explain why the map is so bad now. It was not built around portals, they were forced in. But regardless, why am I talking about Seeds of Time? Well, it ate a ton of budget. Every era had to have new props to fit that time period, so you had to make normal props, dinosaur props, Asia props, and medieval props. That is 5 sets of unique models, which is obviously expensive. As a result of this poor planning, PopCap opted to go the cheaper route and reuse a bunch of those assets for other maps. Honestly, I would do the same, but it definitely did not help the game's presentation or identity. Now it is juggling 2 themes at once. Time travel, which was not even advertised until released and was clearly shoved in to save money, and Zomburbia, which is barely present. They really lacked foresight with Seeds of Time and it ended up backfiring on the game's budget. And we're not even mentioning that Seeds of Time has 8 songs per point, because they wanted music to match each area's theme. So 4 plant tracks and 4 zombie tracks per area, multiplied by 5 areas, plus the final objective. That is 41 songs for 1 level. Maps like Moonbase Z or Great White North would not stand out as much if the actual plot had more focus. But it is not like the settings themselves are that good either, which brings me to my next point. But before that, consider joining the channel to see videos like this early and support me. This video was made because my members voted for it, and you can have your name memorialized forever, or until YouTube dies. Too old to order off the PVZ menu. The settings for these levels in general suck. Like Great White North, where the entire premise revolves on Crazy Dave not paying Zomboss rent. What? Does Zomboss own the mountain? Why would he even let Dave build there? Why is the Yeti King trapped inside if Zomboss is aware? What? This is where I would say the sanitization of Plants vs. Zombies really begins. Zombies are not allowed to be threatening or edgy like they were in Garden Warfare 1. You can already see this with the overly goofy cosmetics and the removal of their bloodshot eyes. If Seeds of Time were in Garden Warfare 1, the plot would probably involve humans taking shelter in the castle, or a plant army that Zomboss wants to take down. Why would he even care about a theme park when it's so trivial? We even have a confirmation from a developer that they intentionally toned down the series to make it more marketable, especially in China, where PVZ is extremely popular and subject to strict censorship laws. I get why they did it, but I still think it was a bad change that slowly pushed away the original audience. Garden Warfare 1 was made for everyone. longtime PopCap fans, shooter players, or kids who liked PvZ but could not play graphic games. By toning everything down, it feels like PopCap was trying to move away from older fans and focus on younger ones. Again, I cannot fully blame them, but it still feels off. The original Plants vs. Zombies was great at building its world, and kids still loved it despite the darker undertones, so there was not really a need to change it. I mean, I was that kid. I played Garden Warfare when I was 9, and the subtle details like abandoned cities and the implication that people were gone were things I noticed and thought about. A story does not need to be super complex, but small details like that are enough to make people think about the world. There is a reason BFN never went mainstream despite being marketed more towards kids. Part of it is because it was too friendly. Kids actually like a bit of grit. It's not a coincidence that kids play Call of Duty. I am not saying PvZ needs to be super deep, but it needs to respect its audience more. Garden Warfare 2 ends up making this weird half attempt to continue that gritty tone while also toning it down for a different audience. Garden Warfare 2 really deserved more time in development, because I think a lot of these issues could have been avoided if it was not so rushed. And again, this is not a Garden Warfare 2 sucks video. I love this game. The entire reason I got a new Xbox in 2016 was just to play it. But I can still look back at its flaws and think about what I would like to improve. The game feels like a lot of steps forward, but also some steps back. There's a reason people feel more nostalgic for the first game's maps, story, music, and visuals compared to 2. But let me know your thoughts and if you like this kind of content. Thanks for watching.